Hello, welcome to show 21, YOLO with ToLo. Kevin's here today. Hey Kevin, wave. He's our producer person today. Let's see, let me get Lonell on. We got lots to talk about today, y'all. And especially this topic really is near and dear to my heart. So let me wait till Lonell gets on. But I just got back from watching hey Kathy, I got back from watching one of the most awesome movies ever. And I'm really sappy, so let me just put that out there first. Here's Lonell. But Crazy Rich Asians. You gotta watch it. Okay, here, Lonell's on. I'm gonna add you right quick. Hey Lonell, I see you there. I just added you. Let's see, you're connecting. What's up?
Hey, what's going on? Trying to turn this.
How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm gonna show you something different today. Look, say hi to Kevin.
Hey.
We just literally dashed back because I'm here at the Asian American Journalist Convention, and I've been going since '96. And AAJ, I'm an AAJA baby. They're like have helped me through so much in terms of like not only finding my truth professionally, turning over a new leaf, helping my parents turn over a new leaf, but it's the conference this year is in Houston, so that's where I'm at today. Where are you at?
Hey, Rich. I am in Chicago.
Chicago. I know you never know where we're at, right? I feel like you now have been traveling so much.
You have been all over the world. It's hilarious,
right? Okay, so Kevin is adding the people on my private page, and then you're adding your peeps on your.
I see it here.
Page. Anyway.
So what did you do tonight? So tell me more about the event.
Hey, okay, so first and foremost, thanks for jumping on. Thanks everybody for watching. We're both tired, so but we're here because we're holding you accountable. I know, right? I've been on the plane most of the day, so I kind of felt like you. And then I got here to the hotel, worked on kind of the rundown for our show, collected some of the questions that you'll hear later, and then I just went to the opening night reception, and then we dashed on and took the shuttle over to the AMC theaters because they were showing. Warner Brothers was so kind to release this movie and give us kind of like a preview early because I don't think it comes out to the 17th, right, Kevin?
So you went to a movie? I thought it was a TV show for some reason, but it's a movie.
No, so Crazy Rich Asians. It's based upon this book that I haven't read yet. Kevin's been reading it, so he's been kind of telling me like the behind the scenes of what they left out and what they didn't leave. But long story short, this woman Rachel, she's an economics professor at NYU, falls in love with this guy named Nick, and he's like, I want to invite you back to was it Singapore to meet my family. There's this big wedding. My best bloke.
And both of them are Asian. Both of those characters.
Well, she is Asian American.
Okay.
And Rachel's Asian American, and Rachel is played by Constance Wu, which is fresh off the boat. And the Nick main leading character, he is British, so he's half Chinese, half. The actor is.
You mean they're British Asians?
Yeah, there's British Asians. Yeah, right. I know. So in the film, he's straight up Singaporean, but basically he's just like British. But the cool thing is that the whole cast that was brought together were different Asians from all over the world. So you have Malaysian Asians, you have Asian Americans, like people, British Asians. So it's kind of cool to see that. And can you believe that since 1993, Joy Luck Club was the last movie that had a full ensemble of Asian Americans?
Did you say 1993?
1993.
Okay.
Double check me on that, Kevin. But that's crazy,
that's
right?
Disgusting, actually. Joy Luck Club is one of my favorite movies. I didn't realize it was that long ago.
I never knew that. I
love, and then I had the biggest crush on Russell Wong, but that's another story. But
who didn't have a crush on Russell Wong?
But I can't believe it's been since 1993 since we've seen an all Asian cast. That's disgusting. I mean, that's so.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's happening now, though.
I mean, I wanna hear what your take on this being, because your history is in film and TV, and what'd you do with Different World? Tell everybody again.
Yeah, so no, that's where I started out. My very first job out of college, I got an internship there, and I worked as a runner, a production assistant, which was an entry-level position.
Yeah.
And then I worked on that show for 3 seasons and learned so much. But I can't believe that I'm still trying to wrap my brain around that we haven't seen an all Asian cast since 1993 leading a a movie or a project or something like that?
Yeah, like especially like a leading man that's Asian, and there's like the whole cast is Asian. But it's interesting because we forget because you grew up with this experience of seeing a different world as a black man, right? And you've seen the Cosby Show and all that. And then with me growing up, I mean, there's sort of Margaret Cho way later. I was obsessed with person I saw on TV back in the day was LeVar Burton, reading Rainbow, and I was like, I want to run scripts to LeVar one day. And guess what? I co-hosted a show on PBS, and there were very few Asian Americans on TV. And back in the day, it was really LeVar, and then like there was like, of course, Oprah. But Oprah wasn't even Oprah. Oprah was still doing like AIM Chicago and still doing kind of a little bit of like the scandalous talk, a lot of the scandalous talk stuff, but she wasn't Oprah yet. And so I had them to look up to black folks. And then like there was a couple of like there's a local reporter, Lonnie Wong, who I just saw today. He's been at the Fox station since forever, since I was watching him when I was a kid. And actually, you know what he said? He goes, I want you to know that not a lot of stuff keeps my attention, but I watch you and Lanelle, and I watch for the whole hour.
Oh,
I'm like, whoop, whoop.
Yes.
But you know what? This has been a conversation. Today's topic, y'all, we're not even going to get into the hot topic because the hot topic is what we're talking about now is this movie and self-acceptance. And it all came together when I was watching the movie. I was like, whoa, this crazy movie about like this Asian American, Constance Wu plays this Asian American professor from NYU, Rachel, who falls in love with this guy, Nick. And he is like, his family's real estate moguls in Asia. And they're like the royalty there. They're like ridiculously crazy rich, right? And she doesn't know this till they actually like get on the plane, and like I've never traveled like that. You have, but like it's like right when they get out of the taxi, people come get their bags and they get with stuff on this like private like crazy looking thing where people sleep. I've never even flown. That's my coach.
It's coming.
It's coming. Right? So the crazy thing is that there's this big clash because then the mom, Eleanor, who's she played by again? Michelle Yeoh. And the mom is just totally like, does not want this girl, thinks she's a gold digger. She's not their people. And I'm not going to give off the plot because the mom goes through her internal struggles too. But her mom goes through this sort of accepting herself because the grandmother also had issues with her marrying her rich son, and it's just so interesting. But I'm not gonna tell you what happens at the end.
Please don't.
I really want to. It's so good, but
tie it into the topic of self-acceptance.
Yeah, this touched me on so many levels, personally and professionally and spiritually, and it's just full circle that I'm here at this conference. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been going to this conference since '96. I missed a few, and let me tell you, I've had so many awesome. I can't begin to tell you how many awesome influencers and people that have influenced my life here that has helped me discover my truth and finding my true voice through TV, and now with what we're doing and stuff with social media and Go Inspire Go and the social media live talk show, that that part touched me personally. Actually choosing my partner, in life. Also touched me there because I didn't go the traditional route, and I'm not with a woman, and so there's that whole aspect, and then the spiritual aspect, and finding your truth. And it's all about finding your truth and accepting yourself with who you really are inside, and so there's so much to talk about. But let's first and foremost, I think, talk about the whole issue of, wow, this is going out into the movie theaters on the 17th and 15th. And if you Google 15th, sorry, if you Google Netflix and Crazy Rich Asians, you will see this big article. Who's it from, Kevin? Anyway, there's this article that was written about how the producers of this movie got a huge, ginormous offer. Like, I'm talking about, all of them could retire and just relax on a private island somewhere the rest of their lives, from a streaming company, Netflix. And they decided to say no. We want to see if this is we know this will succeed in the box office. And I think their goal is to try to get 20 million. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a gang load of my friends together. We're gonna buy some tickets.
We definitely will be able to support it.
Yeah. And Warner Brothers, they picked it up. I mean, thank you, Warner Brothers, for doing that. And didn't Warner Brothers also give Ellen a chance?
Yeah,
like, you go, Warner Brothers.
Amen. Well, you know, the thing is, representation matters, and that's the problem. Yes. So, that's been the problem historically, and the representation, especially for minorities, it's been so limited and so narrow-minded. You know, we haven't been afforded the luxury of diverse characters. We're so busy trying to get a character to be the representation. So the fact that a project like this is being done is going to it's going to inspire a lot of people.
Yeah, it excites me.
Yeah, but just look at your enthusiasm. But just think of all the little Asian kids that are watching that will see that type of thing reflected in those type of images, and they'll see themselves on the screen, so they don't have to go out trying to like make their hair blonde or whatever else we do to try to stimulate.
Exactly.
Right.
But you know what? I'll be really honest. As a little boy, when I was watching TV, I was always like, you know, I always, like, in my heart, I was like, I would love rewriting and talking, right, and communicating. And then my parents, of course, being Asian, and here I'm Asian American, but they were like, doctor, lawyer, engineer, you know. And I tried, baby Jesus knows, I tried to take like honors chemistry class and barely passed it because I just wasn't interested. And I tried to make my parents proud. And I really had to accept the fact that, you know what, I would read shampoo bottles. I'd be like a rinse, lather, repeat, methylparaben in the shower, you know. Mom would be like, who you talk to in shower? I know, right? And I tried, and I would read books aloud, and I was just mesmerized by it. So I was like, I want to speak for a living. What can I do? I want to teach, but I teach at a university, and I've taught it too. And I was like, I want to run scripts for LeVar Burton. I did that, and I didn't do that, but I co-hosted a show instead. And then I wanted to be a TV reporter, and I ended up doing it, you know, Wausau, Wisconsin, Midland, Texas, Fresno, and all the way to San Francisco.
Right. But how were you able to do that when the expectation from your family and the pressure from your family was for you to go on a different path? How were you able to reconcile that, your dream, with the expectation?
You know what was so interesting? I wish there was just one thing I could tell you and tell the audience so that you could be like, yes, I'm going to follow that. But it wasn't just one thing. It was like a series of things that have happened. For example, one thing that happened was I ended up going to private school, the University of San Francisco, and it is hell expensive. But I put my way through it, and I'm going to be honest. My dad gave me, I'm Asian, I'm supposed to be good at math. I'm not good at math, but I know that this is not a lot of money. My dad gave me $500 to go to USF. $500. First year was 25 grand.
I was gonna say, what did I buy? Like a book? One book?
I know, right? And I didn't even have my own computer. You know, I went to the computer lab. We were broke. And so I worked full time. I interned 5 times through the Asian American Journalists Association, through so many amazing, the graces of God. A lot of little things happened. But one major life thing that happened, and that's why I love doing the show, because if one person can hear us and be like, oh, you know, I accept myself, then our job is done, right? So it wasn't until I was in at USF and I took this expository creative writing class by Carolyn Webber, and she was doing British, beautiful blonde hair, blue-eyed woman from British woman, and so I took her expository writing class. The first day, she was like, I want you to write an article or just a one-page whatever on a snapshot of an autobiographical moment that changed your life forever. And so I don't even remember what I wrote. I actually need to go back and read it because I have the paper. And the next day I went to turn it in, and I was like, maybe I should just skip the class and then just drop it, because like I had this little secret that I never told anybody, because it wasn't like, you know, mathematics and sciences were praised, not writing and reading. Like my mom was like, how you make money writing, or how you make money talking.
Mom was not trying to hear that.
Okay, my mom was kind of like Eleanor, I ain't gonna lie, that way, the mom in the movie. But, you know, they just want the best for us. I get it. They come from this, like, immigrant, you know, mentality, and they want the best for us, and that's what they think success is. And so I turned in my paper. That third week, I was like, oh, Mom, I should really not go to this class, because she's going to rip me a new one. But Carolyn, in her lovely British accent, She was like, lovely job. And she gave me the paperback. That's a really bad British accent, by the way. So she gave me the paperback and it said, you are such a gifted and lively writer. What will you do with your talents? And I get the chills saying that now because that was one of the aha moments for me. And I was like, And, I keep saying this over and over again. One of my favorite quotes is from Oprah. She told Lisa Ling this on her show, that once you know, you can't pretend you don't.
You can't pretend you
and
don't.
That was the second thing that I was like, oh, damn, I cannot, pretend that I don't love reading, writing, and talking. And I knew that I had to follow that in my heart. And I'm not going to lie, when I decided to go to USF, my mom was like, didn't understand because, my parents, my dad got an A degree in mechanics when he came to America. My sister Lynn was the first person to get a degree in nursing, but a college degree, higher education degree, right? And so it was really hard, but just like whether it's like choosing a partner or whether it's your parents want you to not marry a black person or not marry a white person or whatever that is, or want you to marry a lighter skinned white person or whatever, or not want you to marry a girl or boy.
That's a whole other show.
No, whole another show. You just have to really follow your heart. But one of my main takeaways is that, wow, I saw the other side too, because the mom, Eleanor in the movie, was like, oh, it's just so American of you to just follow your own happiness. And when you need to follow what is real, and what is real is we have this palace and all this money and blah, 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 and you can eat,
Right.
And what?
He's the heir. He's the only son.
Oh, and the son is the only heir, this Nick guy. So there's another layer of drama. And, Rachel has raised by a single mom, all this other drama that unfolds. That's amazing. But, wow. It's just amazing. So, yeah, and I want it to do so well in box office. I'm really going to, push for it and, well, not push, but kind of get my friends.
Yeah, you want to spread the word. I definitely want to see it. I'm still stuck on it's been since 1993. I'm kind of pissed off about that because it's like it should not take that long.
Yeah, right. And I used to be afraid of saying, I want to do a talk show. That's my next thing, because I've already done everything I wanted to. At the age of 32, I did everything, and now I'm 40. And I was like, I want to do a talk show that lifts and shifts people. And we're doing it now. Thank you to you. But I want to do it on a big scale so that we reach more people, so that people could see a gay Asian guy, a gay black guy, and we're just spiritual and we love each other and we love people and we want to inspire you to be better and do better. And there's no better gift that you can give than the gift of you. And you and I know. you and I know that. Right?
I love that.
I know, right? So we'll skip the whole hot topics right quick, because that was
a hot enough topic.
Watch the movie; it was amazing. But let's get to our second segment, Dumb the Hump. Okay. So I want to talk to you guys at home and want you guys to chime in, answer your questions in a bit. And I want to ask you a lot now. What were moments in your life that you started to accept yourself? Because I know you and I have struggled with that, on many levels, personal and professional. What are some things that you did, some tools that help people get past that hump?
Oh gosh, I mean, like you, I think there have been just incremental steps in my life, or different situations where things happened where I had a fear of something, and it was really walking through that fear, whether it be the fear of coming to terms with my sexuality, fears of reconciling my spirituality with my sexuality.
Whoa. Oh, that's another show,
yeah,
right?
So
wow,
I mean, but every time it was always, the fear was actually greater than the actual reality. Once I chose to step through that and really just to understand myself. I'll tell you, the best advice I ever got was from a very dear friend of mine, and I was actually more afraid to come out to her than I was to my mom, because she was super religious, but she gave me, when we had the talk, she gave me the best advice. She said, first of all, she came in my room. We were roommates at the time, living in North Hollywood. And she said, there's some spirits in this house. Yes, child. Those were her words. We're still like great friends to this day. But as we talked about it, she said, what you need to do is ask God how to pray. And I took that advice. And when I started praying, I noticed that, not like right away, but over time, I noticed that my prayer or my meditations went from begging and pleading and petitioning the universe and God to claiming things and speaking them as, you know, as truth, as they are done, seeing the things that were unseen. And that changed, that shifted the trajectory of my entire life. And as a result of all of that, I think that was when I really began to really just accept myself fully. The more I went within, the more acceptance of myself that I found. And then you reach a point where you're comfortable and rooted in your stuff, and nobody can sway you from it.
So how long did it take? Like, you can be like, sometimes I'll be like, God, teach me this. Don't teach me another lesson. I don't want another lesson today, not for the rest of the year. And then, like, it doesn't come.
It's an ongoing process. I don't even know.
Yeah, right?
You know, something makes
it's a journey.
Like right now, I'm feeling like, okay, like I've gained more weight than I've ever gained in my life. There was a time when I wanted to gain weight. Then sometimes I'm like, well, maybe you shouldn't, you know, I mean, I might be having this self-acceptance thing. I mean, I love myself, yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, I'm like, if I walk up a flight of stairs and I'm wheezing like some heifer, I'm like, no.
So yeah, you're like, no, that's not right. It's so interesting that you brought that up. Okay, sorry, I don't
No, go ahead.
Interrupt you. Finish. Okay, so I was going to talk about how I came to terms with some of this acceptance, because I'm still trying to accept certain parts of myself, but not a lot of people know that I have a huge weight problem.
Yeah, you don't look like... Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I know. People are like, girl, please. No, honestly, I grew up with my mom, because my mom's Chinese, and my aunt, and I don't want to put them on blast, but I just want it so that you can understand how the dynamics work. But, you know, Asian families, they see you, they be like, oh, you fat. You need to stop eating that chocolate, you know, like, don't eat that much rice, you know. But then when you come home, they're like, oh, eat more. So it's just really confusing. But as I was growing up, I'm a big guy in terms of, like, I'm white, you know, and I don't know, my mom, I don't know what happened in the past where, you know, it's a mixture of blood or something, but, you know, because Asian people are not, like, usually that guys are smaller framed unless they're from northern China or some shit. I don't know. Anyway, long story short, but I was just always taller and wider. And they would always be like, oh, you know, you so fat. And then it just stuck with me my whole life. And I'm 40 now. And about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, like 35, I wrote a blog. It was right a year after I started CrossFit. I've been doing it for 6 years. And I wrote a blog about the spirituality of CrossFit, and not about, you know, people always say, oh, people that do CrossFit talk about CrossFit too much, or they're annoying, or they're cold, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if they're cold and they look like that, sign me up. Anyway, but I wrote a blog, and it was about how at 35, I still hate my body.
Wow.
And I look at photos, and, you know, I've had a career in front of the camera, you know, as a TV reporter and a host on a PBS show. And I still had this issue, and I would be afraid to take my shirt off on the beach. I would be embarrassed and it was a lot of it was in my head, you know? And I remember the first few sentences I wrote was, I'm 35 and I hate my body, you know? And that really makes me want to tear up, but that still little boy that was told that he was fat or that he was ugly, because my face was too flat when I was a kid. My eyes were too small, you know, because my brother, he's like, looks like me, but he looks Hapa, like, which is like half white, half Asian. He has like hazel eyes, bigger eyes than me, pointy nose and whatever. And it's just like, that's what Asians like. It's weird, but I'm like, well, I look like you. My face is flat because your face is flat, Mom, you know. But, oh, thanks, Kevin, for posting that blog. But that blog, I posted it. And when we did a show on vulnerability, and when you're able to share your story, when you share and care, people share and care too, right? And so that blog, over 8,000 views within a week. People resonated with it because, you know what? They also were trying to work out their truth and work out their self-acceptance. Right. And I came to a point where I was just like, you know what, though? Like, I've shed, you know, I bulked up in the right places, lost weight in the right places, and I was still feeling fat inside. And it reminded me of something that Mary J. Blige actually had said back in the day, because she grew up in the hood. I love her words, her music, her lyrics. But she was like, even though I was rich and I was famous and all that, I was still broke and ghetto in my head.
Right.
So I was really, I was broke and ghetto in my soul. And my bank account started showing, it as well. And so I think for me, it's like you said, it's a process. It's about listening to people that are in your tribe, like whether it's me and you or somebody else. Really working through what you got to work through. It's almost like, more conversations you have, the more reading you do, the more educated or you are, the more you travel, the more well traveled you are. It's not like a whole linear thing that just happens, right? It's little things that happen, and if you and I always talk about listening to the whispers or the coincidences, which we believe is divine order, listening to those and letting it process.
Yeah.
And then paying attention to
and
it.
being present
because
in the moment. If you try to just stay present, then you'll be aware of what you're actually doing. Because a lot of times you go back to those behaviors because they've been programmed in the back of your mind since you were a child. But if you're actually in the present moment, like, oh, wait a minute, this is what I'm doing. No, I appreciate this body. Like, you won't be seeing mine off. You won't be seeing my shirt off anytime soon. And there was a time when I would always have it off. Now I'm just like, that's for your protection, not mine.
I mean, the funny thing is, the last year I've met you, we haven't even known each other for a year, right? But I never thought like, oh, you got a weight problem. But you know it and you feel it inside. Like, I know when my pants don't fit, and the pants that I used to be able to button up don't fit, and I'm like, oh my God. And now I can button it up, and then there's like an inch left. But it's a process, and really, there's no one answer to this because it really is your own journey and how you really deal with it. But a part of it is just paying attention to how you feel. How do you feel when you are around people? In the movie, there's a bachelorette party that happens, and they're like, "We're gonna have a shopping spree, yay!" And all these girls were ratchet, and gold diggers themselves or whatever. And you know what? The main character Rachel didn't feel good about it, right? And so when you're not feeling good, when you're being diminished, or when you feel little. And there's a part in the movie, the Crazy Rich Asians, where Rachel says that the mom Eleanor made her like feel like nothing, or looked at her as though she was nothing.
Right.
And you got to pay attention to that, and really be present, and then take action. Then you don't hang out with those people, or you react differently to them, and I think that's the main thing, because I honestly felt like growing up that with mom and auntie, I was like, why would they say that I'm fat and ugly all the time?
Right.
And that makes them seem like villains. But I asked my mom, that should be for another show, huh? But I asked her recently, like a few years ago, I was like, why did you say that I was fat and ugly?
What did she respond?
And Asian folk, Asian moms, we don't talk about nothing. You don't. Like, I wish I had a better communication with my mom and whatever. She said, she was like, because you were so cute, everybody make your head big.
Oh. Oof. Okay. That's a whole.
I know, that's a whole nother story, right? Talk about psychological health.
I love that quote that Rich just posted. He posted a Wayne Dyer quote about what other people think of me is none of my business. If that has not been my mantra, it took me a long time to get to that space. But once I did, like, what other people think of me is none of my business.
Yeah, I love that. Love Wayne Dyer. And you know what, Rich, you're right, because I think this is what I think. I am a 40-year-old man, and if I have God blesses me with another 40 years or more, like, half my life is over, right? I know. You know what? Who cares? Like, I want to say majority of me doesn't care about stuff, but we're human beings.
Right.
Things we kind of still care about, you know what I mean? But for the most part, I'm just me and who I am, and, like me or not, I'm not here to please you, because you know what? You can't please everybody. And I love that quote. And I love Wayne Dyer. I love him.
Hey, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa. Hey, Kevin says, also accepting yourself for who you are rather than trying to be someone you aren't just to fit in. And, there's a quote, was it Dr. Seuss or somebody wrote that we were born to be different. So what? What?
I said,
was it Dr. Seuss?
Wait, go ahead. You said Dr. You quoting Dr. Seuss.
Okay. There's a lot of wisdom in Dr. Seuss. There needs to be people. Oprah did Wisdom of Sundays. There needs to be a wisdom of Dr. Seuss, because I think it was him that wrote, like, was it him? I'm not sure now. You gotta check me on this. But Kevin's my fact checker. But because I just love so many quotes. But there's a quote that says something like, why do we try to fit in when we were born to stand out? And that is so true. You know, at the end of the day, when you go to sleep, you're sleeping by yourself or with your partner, whoever. And are you happy with your partner? Are you betraying yourself? Are you betraying, you know, that's big, right? I know, right? Don't get me started. Rich says, yes, it's about loving yourself for who you are, and it's not letting others define you. But you know what? Let me tell you something that was really hard for me. Was what the hardest person to tell about my partner was my oldest sister, Lynn.
Why?
Because you know, she was the mother of my niece and nephew, and I love my niece and nephew, and it would break my heart if she was like, no, I don't want you to be, you know, like, you know, child molester or whatever, you know, like that would break my heart.
Right.
Trust me, because in many circles and many countries, they think you're a child molester if you're gay. But anyway, that's a whole other story.
This country.
Okay. Those who matter, yeah, that's the one, Rich, too. Those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. I was actually thinking about that quote. You're like in my head, Rich. Scary. But that is the truth. And, you know, I want to get a shirt that says, you do you, boo. Because that's what this show is about. You do you. You do you to the umpteenth power. Because the biggest gift you could give yourself is your truth and who you are. And really, I think that's just the meaning of life, is finding your truth. I did a podcast on it. Truth Dare. Finding your truth and daring you to be. Finding your truth and daring you to be more of it. That's the biggest gift. I think that's really why we exist, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like for us to find our truth, which is our power, and then share that with the world.
Share it all.
Right? I think so. Amen to that. Should we go to any last thoughts before we go to Talk to ToLo? Segment 3.
Talk to ToLo.
I love this little thought bubble thing. Okay, so question. This is where you guys send in questions and or questions from conversations that we've had during the week that kind of mold our show's theme. And talking about self-acceptance. Question 1 is from Kathy from Phoenix, who says, how do you find acceptance in the success that you have, and when is it enough? When does self-acceptance of your success feed your soul? That isn't one of life's big questions. I don't know what is.
Wait, read the second part again?
Okay, so when does self-acceptance of your success feed your soul? So when is it enough?
Okay, I think first of all, you have to start with your definition of success. Is she talking about success in terms of monetary things, or success in terms of emotional happiness, or a combination of them? I think once you define what success is, that's the first step.
Yeah.
And then you can work on how fulfilled you are in that space. So yeah, that's a good one. That's a.
You know, I think what she was alluding to, because I know Kathy, and she's a badass and is very successful in life, in her professional life, and she is like, I know so many people, especially in the Bay Area, who either make a ton of money, that's success to them, or success to a lot of people, and have big titles, and have these companies, and they're still on this hamster wheel, and they can't rest, and they're not finding joy in what they do, but it's making money, and then they're getting on MSNBC or some talk show or whatever, and they're like this, hamster wheel. And so when does it enough to feed your soul? But really, you know, there's that quote or that old saying, I should say, that is like, you have to love yourself before you love other people. I think that goes personally, professionally, and spiritually too. Because you have to think about why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
And you've got to find some way, even if it's for a few minutes.
It'll never be enough.
A day. Yep. You've got to find some space to nurture what fulfills your heart. You have to. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you could just walk off your high-paying job because you got bills. No, but you've got to start finding out ways to actually do that what you're passionate about. Even if it's for a few minutes a day, like if you're a writer, write for a few minutes a day. Whatever it is, you've got to find that, because that success and being on that hamster wheel, that's monetary success, I guess, or material success. But if you're not at peace and you're not enjoying it, what the hell are you doing it for?
Right. I have 2 soul sisters that I do a spiritual like intention setting session every 6 months with, and it just gives us time to pause and reflect on what we're doing right, or what right as in what makes us excited still, and what isn't right. and that what doesn't feel good. And I think people really need to do that more and take stock of that. Like if you are a CEO of this big company and you don't see your kids and they don't know who you are, then that's not happy. You know, I was at a fundraising event for pediatric cancer, and this guy told me that his friend was a CEO of a big company in the Bay Area. And one day he was having breakfast with his little daughter, who was, I think, in kindergarten, and he took her to school that day. And she was, Daddy, where do you live? Where do you live? And that is
That's
not
not
aha or
that's not
gotcha.
funny. It's actually sad, but it's a very poignant,
Right?
wonderful.
Yeah. And I had another friend in the business where she was like, her daughter, she was a broadcaster. She was like, her daughter, no, her son slept. She came home one time and he was sleeping with her headshot.
That's horrible.
That was an aha. That was an aha. She changed her life. But again, when is it enough in finding that acceptance? It's when do you feel like, for example, if you're gaining weight and you're breaking out and you just feel miserable and stressed and you're angry all the time. And really, you know what? Carolyn May said this. Um, if you don't know Carolyn Myss, MYSS, you got to Google her. Amazing, spiritual intuitive and medical intuitive. But she was like, you know, you're done or you need to change when your job or be with a different partner or just leave that situation, those situations, if you feel a sense of betraying yourself.
Mm. But you
And
know, some people are actually comfortable in that space of betrayal. They might not even recognize that they're betraying themselves because they might come from this whole legacy of pain or abuse. That they might not even recognize that they're even in that space.
Yeah, and you know what? Like you and I say all the time, it's gonna come back in a different way, shape, or form till you learn from it. And if you don't, it's either gonna kill you or really make you miserable, and you're gonna be suffering. You know, that's a really good question. So when does self-acceptance of your success feed your soul? You know what? Really, it's I think little pieces of the puzzle of everything we talked about. I mean, I really love that you said defining what success means to you is important. Hey, Michelle from Sydney,
and then
talking about self-acceptance.
Step by step, finding something that you're passionate about, and purposeful. When you work in your purpose, then you're not on a hamster wheel.
Yeah, exactly. Second question is from an anonymous person. It says, "Oh, this is so crazy. Rich Asians movies. I didn't even know that this was connected." Anonymous person sent us something that says, "How do you make your parents or loved ones proud and be proud of yourself personally and professionally?"
Well, let me say first, I mean, I know this in culturally different cultures, this is very different, but I'm just from the space where at some point you've got to pursue what makes you happy. Okay, you just have to, and then your parents might not be along for the ride in the beginning, but as you step and you stand in that truth and you stand in that authenticity and your life begins to flourish, they'll come around. Or if they don't, then then they don't. But if you are so busy trying to live your life to please them and to gain their acceptance, that's okay when you're a child. But once you step into adulthood and it's time to really harness, your peace and your joy, you have. I mean, it's a tough decision to make, but you've got to find out what works for you.
Yeah, I know that's so true. I know personally and professionally and spiritually, like you and I and everybody watching has dealt with this in many different ways. And if you haven't yet, it'll come get you. You're gonna learn. It'll be a gift. Rich says, yes, be happy and make yourself proud. That's so true. And I don't know if I should share this, but I guess I will. I already said it. But when I quit my first job as a TV reporter and moved home to Sacramento to take care of my parents, I didn't tell my family. And there are some people, my family's pretty supportive. I love my siblings and things like that. But there was somebody in my family who was like, they didn't know how to quit to take care of my dad. They're like, oh, it's too cold for you? Because I came over to use this family member's internet because we didn't have internet at home. We didn't have a computer. And I went over there to use his internet, and this person in my family said, look at you. You're nothing now. You used to be a TV reporter.
Wow.
On NBC, whatever, Fox, whatever. I worked for all those affiliates. And they didn't even know my story. And that's why I think the Crazy Rich Asians has a really deeper meaning, is like all these people react and act the way they do is because something that was done unto them. So it kind of gives you compassion. I think that's really the overall message for me, and compassion and finding your truth, and not letting people's what they think you should be define who you are and what you do.
That is a recipe for misery and disaster.
Yeah, right. And so this other question, second part of this anonymous question is, how do you balance out their expectations and your truth? You know what? There doesn't always need to be balance.
No. The scales need to tilt in favor of your truth, and the rest will work itself out.
I'm all mic drop. I don't have mic. That's good. That's good. Okay, let's move on to
digital detox. I'm getting better.
Okay, so tell me about how you're getting better. I just hot mess still because I just am trying to figure out. Like, I just got back from travel.
It's all back to that mute app. Actually, I've really been taking heed to the warnings and being more conscious when it tells me I've had 50 pickups. Then I'm just like, okay, you can't touch this phone for a couple of hours. Or if it says you've been on this phone for 2 hours today and it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, no, don't touch it. But I mean, I am making it a habit to be much more conscious of it, and it's working actually.
You know what's happening to me is I'm just more mindful of, like, if I'm about to pick up my phone just to like swipe for no reason, I'm like, I'm not gonna pick it up.
Yes.
That's one of the things. It's made me more mindful because I put that mute app on after you shamed me publicly about it. And it helps. So that's one thing. Another thing too is staying away from my phone. Like if I'm working, like I'm writing an article or blog or something, or I'm like doing something, like putting a spreadsheet together. Lord knows I hate spreadsheets. But anyway, that helps if I put it away from me. So you have to like kind of hack it your own way.
Right.
I mean, the mute app has been helping me because those little emojis are no joke. They're like,
and what I've done also too for me is like, I'm an avid reader. I'm reading a great novel right now. And when I'm reading, I put my phone away. And literally, I only have it where if I'm away. When I say away from me, it's like I have to get up and get to it. I can't just reach for it by habit. And then the only calls that I'll allow in is like if it's an emergency, like a work call, or if I'm expecting a particular call. But other than that, I'll have it on Do Not Disturb, and I'm getting more mindful about it. It's actually working.
Look at you, boo! I'm proud of you.
I'm trying. Okay. I don't like being hooked on anything, so.
I know, me neither, too. Just like when I see smokers, I'm sorry, I just don't smoke. I just think it's gross. But
no shade to the smokers, but shade.
Yeah. And when I see people on phones now, just totally disconnected all the time, zombies, getting hit by cars, I'm just like, ugh. So one more thing I wanted to bring up. Okay, so now that we've kind of checked in with each other, held each other accountable about our own digital detox, just when you heard of it all, have you heard of this Snapchat dysmorphia madness that's happening? For real thing, there's an article. Kevin, can you just put that link on up here so that people can read it later? Okay, Snapchat dysmorphia. Now more than ever, plastic surgeons are getting requests from their clients that they want their plastic surgery to look like their Snapchat filter because they think they look good.
We really, really have a mental health crisis in this country. We just do.
I have no words.
What in the unholy what the hell would you want to look like? What do you want? You want the little dog ears sewn onto your?
You literally made me want to laugh. Okay, literally made me LOL. Okay, so yeah, it's just like they want to smooth out their face, make their eyes bigger. I don't know. It's crazy.
We need some help. We do. I stopped Snapchat 2 weeks after its release. I hear you, Steve. I still use it occasionally, but I'm just like, whatever, child. I can't keep up Insta story, Snapchat. Okay, but
and those filters are fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The filters are fun.
It's fun when you go bah, and then like eyeballs fall out of your mouth. I mean, I get that, and you laugh or you do the face switch.
But walking down the street, going for a jog, looking like that, opening my mouth and my tongue. No.
Right. And I'm sorry, but nobody looked like that. Like the covers of Vogue all the time. Sorry.
Not even those that are on the cover of Vogue.
Right.
That is what happens when the Kim Kardashians of the world become role models.
Amen.
Hal was like reading my mind with that one. Yes. It's so true. It's like, Lord, Lord, Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta,
Thank you. Basically. I know. I just have no words. But again, I think coming to self-acceptance, like I'm sure that all of us, even people that I know that are like models for a living, like have issues with the way they look, and there is no perfect. That's what's beautiful.
Yeah. One good thing that's happening nowadays, actually, I mean, I know we're trying to filter everything, but like with HD TV, it's like I've never seen so many flawed humans and ever, and it's wonderful.
There's like pores and zits.
So it's wonderful. It's like, okay, because all of that, nobody can live up to those unachievable expectations.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But you know what? If you just realize, though, here's my final thought, is that if you just realize that there was a series of many billions of miracles that needed to come together to bring you here on this earth, right? And that even twins don't have the same fingerprint, and that only you have a special way of seeing the world and sharing art or music or sharing you to the world. I think you think differently about yourself, and I think that we are our worst enemies. A lot of us are. I know a lot of times I am, when we should be our best friends.
Amen to that.
Right? And that you have this gift. You're just so powerful. People are always like, oh my God, some of my friends that even watch this, they're like, you talk, their husbands will be like, oh, you talked to Toan today, you're on a high. And, they're like, oh, you inspire, you have this gift of inspiring people. And I'm like, you know what? I think what it is that I just listen and I put a mirror up. And I think and you see your awesomeness. And I think that that's what you and I do for each other every week. And that's what we hope to do for everybody else. And really know that you're not alone. It's okay to fall off the wagon and feel like, oh, you're not feeling good about yourself because you ate too many Twinkies last night.
Or you went to Shake Shack right after having sushi tonight. Yes. But I'm going to forgive myself.
Shake Shack and sushi?
Oh my God, yes. I'm just
The other day I had ice cream and alfajores. I mean, like, it was caramel cookie yumminess from Chile.
It's just disgusting. I'm going to work on the underlying problem, the rooted problem of all that.
Anyway, we need to have like a physically fit show one day.
And I will not, like Steven Tyler says here about the sardine smoothies, I will not be having one of those ever.
Oh no, ew. Right. Oh hell no. Who gives a rat about this Kris Jenner drinking sardines? That's nasty. I love me some sardines though, but with bread, toasted bread.
Not in a smoothie.
There's an important midterm election happening. Okay, amen to that.
Definitely.
So, any final thoughts about self-acceptance on your end?
No, just do the work. I am loving. Yeah. I am lovable. I am loved. Tell yourself those 3 sentences until you believe them, and that will move forward into wherever you need to be.
Yeah. Exactly. Steven says there's nothing wrong with treating yourself, gentlemen. There is when you be treating yourself too much, which I do. But yeah, that's true.
Right. When I'm walking up a flight of stairs and I'm out of breath, I'm eating too much. Yeah, I've got issues.
Yes, exactly. Or when your pants really don't fit that much, you'll be like, dang, when your 3 cheat meals turn out to be 3 times a day cheat meals.
Or like when I'm expanding in the back and I'm like, okay, the cakes look kind of nice, but at the same time, the gut is expanding and I'm looking like Santa Claus. No, ma'am.
Wow. When your mama let you do that?
No, ma'am.
Anyway, love yourself, people. We love you. I mean, yeah. Thank you.
Have a good weekend. A good week.
Crazy.
All right.
Rich Asians. Support it. I'm going to go buy some tickets next week.
On 15. Yes, I'm going to see it too. All right. Have a good night. Hi, Osil.
Thanks for supporting us, watching us. Like, share, and love you.
Take
you
care.
Do you, boo.
Have a good night.
All right, now. See ya. Bye.